It's 2020 and healthcare is now patient-centered. That means we can all hold hands and sing Kumbaya as there's nothing to get upset over while we visit a hospital or a doctor's office, right? Wrong. Since the popular phrase in the UK, "no decisions about me without me," accelerated their push towards patient-centric care, their numbers of complaints has nearly doubled. Sure, it's a different country than the United States, but the overarching idea still stands. When the experience is more focused on the consumer or client, the harder it is to satisfy the masses. In other words, even though the main concept is to satisfy patients, experiences vary across practices. My point after all of this is that as a healthcare provider, you can't satisfy all of your clients with how you approach their care, and they'll let you know. Hi everyone, I'm Matt from eTactics, and today I'm going to explain 5 tried and true ways to deal with patient complaints. Before we get started though, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the button below. While you're down there, hit that alert bell icon next to it as well, so when we post new helpful content, you get notified. The first tried and true way to deal with patient complaints and grievances is by sifting out the minor ones. There are thousands of reasons why a patient might complain about your organization. According to Becker's Hospital Review, the top 5 most common reasons that upset healthcare clients are sleep deprivation, noisy nurses' stations, losing personal belongings, staff not knocking before entering the room and not keeping whiteboards updated. Sure, some of these are more minor than others, but everyone is different, and different things you do can affect them positively or negatively. Unfortunately, you don't have time to hear every complaint that comes into your office as a physician. Any time you spend dealing with a concern takes time away from performing your main duty as a physician, which is taking care of patients. Luckily, you can speed up collecting and caring for minor complaints at your office through feedback surveys. For inspiration in making these, look at what restaurants and other customer-facing businesses include on them. If you go this route, be sure to quantify the responses with either weighted responses or numbers. That way, you can easily put together an analysis about your organization's patient experience. The second best way to deal with patient complaints is by being proactive, not reactive. You could just not acknowledge the fact that patient complaints exist and go about your days pretending like it won't ever happen to you. That's a reactive approach though. The problem with this strategy is that it doesn't prepare you for facing a grievance when it does eventually come your way. With this strategy, you have to think on your feet in the moment and pray that you can remedy the situation right then and there. A reactive approach isn't a good way to handle patient complaints. Instead, be proactive. In other words, don't wait for your patients to come to you with their gripes. Ask them how they're doing and how they're feeling constantly. After all, 77% of consumers view companies more favorably if they're proactive and invite feedback. The third way to deal with patient complaints is to look for patterns. Your organization isn't perfect. Even when you address grievances, there's still room for improvement. However, patient complaints give you a direct indication of the areas in your organization that need improvement. For example, if you find that the majority of the complaints that you receive talk about how they have to wait too long for their appointment, that's a clear indication of an area that you need to address as an organization. 64% of American consumers contacted some form of customer service in 2017. In other words, the majority of people give feedback, and you can use it to improve how your business functions. The fourth way I have for you is to record the meaningful complaints. Now that we've determined that it's important to find a pattern in your patient complaints, we should mention the importance of recording them. In order for your team to find any patterns in the grievances you receive, there needs to be a history or a point of reference that they can review themselves. Since you work within the healthcare space, your team is already used to documenting and recording information on a daily basis. In other words, recording complaints shouldn't be that much of an added responsibility. Where or what you use as an organization to house all of your grievances you receive is ultimately up to you. However, it doesn't have to be anything fancy like a cutting-edge CRM software. You can make a master spreadsheet and have your team record complaints as they come in for a cheaper route. The final way to deal with patient complaints is by training customer service superstars. Think about a bad customer service experience you've had before. Calling a cable company probably comes to mind. That's because utilities are among the top 3 industries with the worst experiences on average. Number 1 on that list though is healthcare, but you're already in the minority since you're actively watching this video. What does customer service grievances look like for utility companies? The majority of them happen from robotic directory calls where they ask you something, you reply, and it doesn't understand you. How do you feel after these calls? Well, if you're like me, you're irritated, frustrated, and need to take a few minutes to yourself. So what does a good customer service experience look like then? It's one where the representative connects with you quickly, doesn't take your problem personally, listens to what you're saying, solves your issue fast, and adds a touch of personal pizzazz. However, training your employees on the different facets of providing great patient service takes time. Host training sessions with them regularly to go over and provide different examples and scenarios of how they should handle complaints, grievances, and concerns with your patients. The only thing that's more certain than the fact that your clients will make appointments with your healthcare organization is that some of them will eventually complain about your organization as well. But instead of shying away, embrace them. The average American tells 15 people when they've had a poor experience, and there's no real way to track that. In other words, if you ignore complaints, grievances, and concerns, you're losing business without even knowing it. But if managed and handled correctly, you're satisfying disgruntled clients, saving the external reputation of your organization, and enhancing how your practice runs. Now, if you'd like to learn more about how to deal with patient complaints, reach out to eTactics. And you already made this far into the video, so you might as well like it, share it, and comment below. But what are you waiting for? Subscribe to our YouTube channel.